What's good with it in the hood with it? Welcome back to the collective clips where you already know I get it in. But before I get it in, let's hit that like and subscribe button. Ding! Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directing the direction of the dope content that the gun is kicking. I had to put the mic closer to me so I can kick some dope content, right? Bam! We're going to do what we do. I'm very humbled by all your support. Thank you very much. I couldn't do it without you. As you can see, I cleaned up my closet because I got tired of it looking like fucking Sanford and Son. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. I was doing bad, right? I was doing dirt bad. Or did I clean it up? Or did I have someone do it for me? One never knows, does one? But here's some knowledge you can't get in college, man. I said the other day I was going to bring back some of the older videos that and redo them, rework them, right? Remix that I did on my very first channel that got taken down, right? And, I got a lot of positive feedback when I said I was going to do that. There was a lot of people that remember I had bangers giving bangers piggyback rides. I had bangers playing Marco Polo in the pool, right? And so I felt that if for no other reason, I would retell these stories in their entirety. And so that way, they're actual and factual. So here we go, right? This one's called He Plotted to Kill Me This Day, Hawaiian Gardens, right? And it's a true story. When I was in the youth authority, there was vatos from everywhere. That was truly a blessing to meet guys from different barrios and to see how they acted, see how they were raised by their older OG homeboys, their veteranos. And I had a lot of interaction. And some barrios showed me a lot of respect and a lot of love compared to others. The Hawaiian Gardens did not like me. There was about 3 or 4 dudes from Hawaiian Gardens, and I can't recall their names, but I recall the one that tried to smack me, right? And for some reason, these guys just didn't like Norteños. They had a certain reason why, I guess. But for whatever reason, I just happened to become a target. So what happened was the Norteños used to go to the school area. Okay. The school area was very dangerous. This is where it all went down. This is where vatos from different compas, which are different buildings, were going to see their enemigos. You were going to catch your enemigo slipping. There was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Now, there was a lot of COs. At that time, they were called GSs, right? A lot of cops that floated around, but there was always blind spots. There was always areas where you can go into school and handle your business and maybe not even get caught. But when it became a north and south issue, the whole thing was to put it on blast. The whole thing was to make it as big and as explosive as you could. And we were trying to fucking kill each other, literally, right? Or they were trying to do me like that. So there was a class, and this teacher's name was Mr. Ryan Hart. I'll never forget. He was an old humpback man. He used to be by the chalkboard, and vatos would be slanging him right behind him, like literally taking head up fades. People that were not even in that class used to go up in that class and take a fade because this old man couldn't hear. So he'd be on the chalkboard, 1 versus 2. 1 versus 2. I mean, 1 plus 2. Ha. He was weird, right? Vatos be in the back like, right? They'd be getting off. He'd turn around like, what's going on here, right? We're moving the desk. Okay, desks be moving. I mean, it was crazy. It literally, for youngsters, man, it was the Thunderdome, that classroom. Now, I had that classroom every fucking day, 3rd period by myself. No other Norteños. There was homies, but we had a couple of melees, and it seems like they ended up going to the hole. I went to the hole. I got put back in that class. I don't know if they thought I needed math. My math wasn't mathing, so I needed math. And this guy's math wasn't mathing either, so I don't know how the fuck he was going to teach me. But anyways, I always had to keep my head on swivel because I knew that this was the class where it was nothing but Southsiders, a couple blacks, and myself. And, the Southerners would come. They were used to me by this time. I had fought everybody in there, in the blinds, right? But new ones would come in daily. And when they would come in, of course, man, they got to fight the Northerner, right? So, man, I won some, I lost some. I lost more than I won probably. But there was a couple times when a couple of them, I was getting the upper hand and they hit me from behind or snuck me from the side. And it was what it was, man. I kept going to the hole, kept coming back. So on this particular day, I remember being on the compa early in the morning. And this guy, Chino from Hawaiian Gardens, he was in my building, right? And we had never fought in the blinds. He had never said one way or another if he didn't like me. But I was pretty aware that Hawaiian Gardens was a very old barrio. They were very seasoned. And this guy had a lot of influence. He had a lot of respect. He was a short, little, stocky dude. He looked Hawaiian, too, which is a trip, right? That's why they called him Chino. And the Ranfla he was with, meaning the group that he was with on that compa were the heavy hitters. They were the guys that were putting in the work. They were all the guys that got released out of Nixon, which was the equivalent to the shoe and Nellis, right? So I remember the first day he gets on the compa, he's kind of looking at the Northerners and with a little disdain. But it's whatever. I tell the homeboy, bad boy, we might have to fucking do something to this guy because this guy might want that smoke. but he never said anything. He kind of just got in with his Ramfla, busted his spread, homie, and that was that. Okay. But I always kept him under surveillance because I always thought at one point in time, this guy's probably going to try to make a piece and I'm going to have to fucking shove it up his ass like Wes Watson does freely. So nothing ever came to it. So he ends up getting moved in my class. And like I said, people that were in that class, anytime a Southerner came in, they wanted to fight the Northerner. So I was expecting, okay, he's on my compa and he doesn't act like he wants to smoke. Now he's in the class. Maybe he has to prove something, but he didn't. Never tripped, right? So this particular day, I remember we went to chow. We had SOS. I'll never forget the day. I remember the day from start to finish. We had SOS, which was bomb. And anyone that knows I was there, man, when it's SOS day, everybody's like, oh, they're all happy and shit. Like, hell yeah, because it was bomb. And you would get your seasoning packet, your chile seasoning packet. You stuff it right here in your state shirt. Boom. You'd mob the chow, sprinkle some of that shit on it. It was like magic, right? It was fairy dust. And it was bomb. You smacked your SOS. You went back full, and then you fought out another day. That's why it was. Because there was always something going on. Always. There wasn't not one compa in the institution that didn't kick off daily. There was going to be a fight. Whether it was the Africanos, the few white dudes that were there, Southsider, Northerners, something was popping, right? So anyways, I remember that day. It was like slow motion. Nothing was going on. No one was fighting. Everyone was happy. People were getting packages. Just, things were popping. It was time for school to go to the school area. And I hated it because it was like, man, I'm going to get maced. I'm going to go to the hole. This was consistent. This is what happened every fucking day. There might be a few days that you went without fighting for whatever reason. I don't know. God decided to change the rhythm that day. And I got to give nothing but the glory to God for doing that. But God wasn't always there, right? He was there. He was watching, though. He was watching the shit go down. Because most of the time, man, we were getting jumped, battery packed, whatever. The Southsiders were always plotting to get the Northerners off the main line, but it just never worked because the cops were not going to allow it to work. Governor Pete Wilson said Northerners are going to be here, and that's that, right? And we knew we weren't going nowhere. They knew we weren't going nowhere, but we still fought like we were. So anyways, I go into this class, and I'm walking with my boy Chucky from Sahol, and he had a class that went straight ahead. Mine you had to walk up these stairs. It was like on it was elevated, right? And it was the last class on the left. And I remember, or it was on your right-hand side, but to the left. So as I'm walking, I'm slow motion because I'm like, damn, man, they're going to bring some more Southsiders from Nixon. These Baltas are probably going to jump on me in class. Because lately they had stopped giving the one-on-one. Lately they just got they were trying to really remove us, right? Because what had happened is about the same time in YTS, there was a Wheelock that came from TS that said any Southsiders that allowed Norteños to walk the yard there and didn't put in work and didn't have a level B write-up to show that they put in work, they were going to be deemed leva. They were trying to drop the whole institution leva. Every Southsider that wasn't there that was allowing Norteños to function, when they hit TS or anywhere else, they were going to be considered all bad, right? So there was a lot of autos fucking kicking into high gear, handling their business. Like, fuck that, SC. Let's get them, right? They were damn, SC. Yeah, I never heard the word SC so much in that time period. So I'm telling the homeboy Chucky, like, fuck, bro. And he always carried a fucking banger, right? He was with the shit. He was going to go to prison after he was doing time. Like, he was with the shenanigans, right? And he was like, hey, bro, I'm going to go in here. First of all, that looks at me, I'm going to stab the shit out of him. I'm like, all right. It was an everyday thing. It was like Wile E. Coyote and the dog walking with the lunch bill. All right, man, I'll see you later. All right, Sam. All right, homie. Right? And then beat each other up. That's how it was. So the homeboy goes to his class, and I'm like hesitating, like, fuck it. I had to pump myself up every day, right? Let's get it, right? It's like Joey Stacks. Hey, homie, yeah, I'm going to pull out a blade, homie. I got to, homie, because you look at them guys. They're 270. There's how many Southsiders are here? There's 11, there's 10, there's 7, there's 3, there's 2 of them. There's 2 of them, right? And so I walk in, there was more than 2. There was about a dozen Southsiders, and it was crazy because imagine like this. You're a youngster. I was like 13 years old, right? I walk in, and everybody turns to look at me. All eyes on me. And Valto start, I can hear him in the unders, right? I felt like maybe I should just take flight. So I sat down at my desk. Now my desk was all the way against. There was like a wall, right? So the wall, but there was like a what do you call it, man? Like a heating system, right? So it was the AC heating system, and there was like these metal grate that was right here. It was like shoulder level, right? And I would lean up against that because at least I had some type of wall. Now, there was no wall behind me. The class door was actually behind me. So if anyone came in, they could just sneak me, which they did a few times. But I'm right there, and I'm in basically as far as I can get in the back where I could see everyone in front of me. So if anyone jumped up, I can get off where I was mad at, right? And I did that for that reason. And so I'm sitting there, and to the left of me is a guy named Little Ray from Puente. And he was very quiet, but he was an evil looking motherfucker. He had the 3 dots right here. He had like a crazy fade haircut, looked like a flat top with the tail. I'll never forget, man. Tall, skinny, all tatted back. And he was on a different compa than I was, but we ended up being on the same compa. He ended up coming there, but he never just never acknowledged me. You know, like he would talk to his homeboys. He was very quiet, but you could tell he was with the business. And right in front of me was Chino from Hawaiian Gardens, who I was on the compa with, so I wasn't sweating him. I should have been, but I wasn't, right? Because, like I said, I was on the compa with them. If he didn't do anything there, it was, why do something here, bro? I've been in this classroom now for 30 days with you. You've never jumped in. You've never done nothing. I respect it, thank God. But he just didn't strike me as someone who wanted to participate. And you got to understand, at that time, there was a lot of Southsiders that didn't participate in going at it with the Northerners. They had too much on their plate with their enemigos. A lot of dudes from 18, they would be going at it with Playboys and Florencia and other gangs. They didn't have really anything to contribute to the Northern fucking plight, right? They didn't care. But the Vatos that used to really get off with us were the guys from the 805, Santa Barbara, Bruta, of course, Bakers, Lompoc, Santa Maria. Like, them dudes were with the shit. And Vatos from South Los were also with it. They hated us. And then, of course, you had Vatos from El Monte Flores, Vatos from the Avenues. I mean, there was just every gang you could think of was there. It was a melting pot of gangs from LA and the Valles. So I'm kicking back, right? And there was a Vato I used to always keep my eyes on. He was from Bakers. We called him Guadalapush. And he was from Bakers 13, I believe. And he was the ugliest person I've ever seen in my life to this day. Probably looked like the inside of Wes Watson's asshole. Just ugly. Stop. Fail, right? About that fucking moles all over him with whiskers growing out of him. He was ugly. Even the Southsiders pushed his desk forward. Like, hey, do a spread, homie. Spread away from us, right? But this guy would always look back and like suck on his teeth. And his teeth were gnarled, right? He looked like a vampire. He had like remember the old school vampire with the 2 front teeth and they were the bush shark? Like he looked like a gopher. So the dark gopher is in the front, right? And I'd always keep my eyes on him because I had to watch these guys in the 805 from Bakers because they were fucking with it. So as I'm watching him, right, I'm not paying attention to what's going on right here in front of me. So what had happened was I guess this Vato Chino had decided that he was going to catch a body and I was going to be the victim. And he had a banger, right? How do I know? I seen it before it sunk into me, right? And so in that grate that was there, the AC thing, I guess they had these panels that you could pull open, and he had realized that. So he had somehow got a big old metal banger. Now we had to walk through metal detectors when we went to the school area. There'd be a gang of GSs on each side with mace, ready to shake it on us, right? And most of the time, fights would pop off right there, right? As soon as you get inside the metal detectors, it would crack off right there in the quad area. But and there was like a little office to the left, brick office, and you went through metal detectors, so you couldn't bring a pico, like because most of the knives that I carried and I had at that time, they were made out of the bed spring. I mean, the springs in the bed, there were so many pieces missing with weapon stock. The beds were all put together with fucking t-shirts. People would tie them together because the springs were missing. Beds of sag and shit. You never wanted the top bunk. It was all fucked up. But anyways, those are the type of weapons that I had. They were little ice picks. And I got hit with those a couple different times in Nellis, but they didn't do too much damage unless you really put it in. So I'm gonna be telling a story tomorrow about that on the big channel. You guys are gonna want to watch that. It's definitely it's a good one. So, anyways, we're going through the metal detectors. So I'm not ever thinking that if I can't bring metal, no one else can bring metal. But somehow this guy was able to facilitate a big old chunk, man. It was probably about that thick, 6-7 inches long. It was a super banger, right? It was a bone crusher. And if he would have hit me with that in the neck or anywhere, I would have folded, right? He would have got me. Maybe because my adrenaline's pumping, I would have been able to get off a couple swings. But where he was at in proximity to where I was at, if I was looking this way at Guadalapush, he could have just whack, 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 done. You know what I mean? You want to settle the score, big knife on the floor, no gun, no more, right? And so I'm sitting there and class is almost over and I'm tripping because a couple of new Southsiders had came in. They were in the class and I was kind of peeping them out too and thinking, why aren't they wanting the fade? Because usually what would happen was they would all lean back. It was like when you hand papers out, like, remember back to your crushes back in the days, will you go out with me, check yes or no? And the chick always fucking check no, but you still thought you were together. That one, right? So these guys would hand papers back to fucking me. I'd get a paper and be like, hey, fucking when the clock strikes 10, they say go to the back, we're going to fight. Seriously, this is how crazy it was, right? This was the lifestyle I was living. That's how bad. And I thought it was normal, to adapt to that violence and that situation and think it's normal. Wow. Now that I think back on it, man, I'm glad they shut the youth authorities down and kids don't have to go through that, because it was fucked up. We're talking about taking lives, real life situations. That shit hurt, man. You know what I mean? You leave all happy and come back with no teeth, all sad, right? It was just different. So anyways, I'm watching them two dudes and Guadalapush, and they're over there talking. I'm thinking, they're plotting on me. They're probably going to jump me. Fuck it, man. I'm just going to sock Guadalapush or hit him with his desk on the way out. And I get a paper handed to me. And the paper's handed to me by Little Ray from Puente. He tells me, don't move. This ain't against you. And I'm thinking, oh, shit, he's going to get off on an enemigo right here, right? I had never talked to this dude, sat right next to me every day. He never got involved in the bullshit. I never talked to him, none of that, right? So I'm like, all right. And all of a sudden, man, the teacher goes up to the thing to write something. And this is usually when the shit cracks off, when he'd be up at the chalkboard, because he couldn't hear. He'd be up there like, hey, what the fuck is going on? You guys better not be fighting. I'll tell the GSs, right? He was a weirdo. And I hear like metal scraping, like, what the fuck? And as I look, I'm looking at little Ray, and I give him the sign like, okay. And as I look, Chino has a big old banger, and he's fucking lunging for me. And I'm like, oh, fuck. And look, I don't care what anyone says. When someone has a big old piece like that, I didn't do the big boy. Hey, doggy. Hey, what is that, doggy? Is that a knife, doggy? Why you got a knife, doggy? Be a man, doggy. Be a man, right? No, because you're 270, homie. Saying you can curl more than me. No, fuck that. I'm going to stab the shit out of you, homie. This is the streets, homie. Right? Hey, dog. Right? None of that went through my mind. What went through my mind is like, the Sureño's going to kill me, right? And I was like trying to back up. And Little Ray from Puente jumped up and pushed him. And he was like, hey, yes, he was like, be a real one, bro. Catch a fade. Don't fucking kill this dude, man. Now, did he have repercussions for that? I don't know, right? But I was forever thankful for him, because he saved me. And that dude Chino dropped the piece and was like, and you heard it clink, clink, clink. It wasn't like clink, clink, clink. It was like, right? That motherfucker was heavy. I was like, oh, my heart was beating, and I jumped back, right? And Guadalapush jumped and rushed me. Guadalapush rushed me and the two other dudes, and I'm fighting with them. Then the fucking teacher turns around, he hits the pin. Cops come run, mace the shit out of us. Chino backed up in the corner, and Little Ray fucking backed up, whatever, right? They were trying to kill me. He was that day. We had a conversation. So I ended up going to the hole. We all go to the hole, and whatever. And I'm in the oil for, I think, 6 or 7 days on this one, because I was trying to hit fucking Guadalapush with the desk. I was trying to fucking make him look better than he looked. And Chino ends up coming to the hole. He gets into it with a couple of Northerners behind the bend, with Bad Boy and Spanky from Gilas. And I get at him like, hey, what's up, bro? What was that all about? Like, you want to catch the fade when we get back to the compa and everything? He was like, yeah, my homeboys told me I had to catch a body, bro, and you were just the easiest one. It wasn't like I targeted you. You were just the easiest one. And I was like, wow, fuck, you know what I mean? He was thinking like I was thinking. Like, you're always going for the easiest target. It's crazy. Because nowadays it's like, oh, we want people at their best. You want to, that's what people say. But really, you're looking for the easiest target you could find. So about a year passes. I end up going back to the compa. They moved Chino to Nixon. And that was that, right? And so now Little Ray from Puente gets moved on my compa. And I thank him. Hey, bro, I appreciate that, man. Thank you. He said it wasn't about that. It was about being a real one, being a man. He was like, even though we're young, I don't like that snake shit. I'm with, hey, if you really got an issue, give that out the knife. You get a knife, handle your guys' fucking business. He's like, I don't play that north-south shit, bro. I got too many enemigos to worry about you, Vatos. But, I see you fighting every day, handling your business, bro, and I respect it. Whether they don't respect it or not, I do. And I said, I respect the fuck out of you. Thank you. So I ended up getting transferred to Preston about a year later. And I'm there in Preston for like 8 or 9 months. And then I'm on Greenbrier when they shipped me to Carl Holton. I'm on Mono Hall, right? And I'm there with my Bad Boy from Sakura. And we caught up with each other because he left earlier from Nellis. He ended up going to Carl Holton. Then I followed him, from Preston to Carl Holton. And we had that comp on lock, man. Me and him were not the big homies, but because we were in Nellis and we had these war stories and we put in work, like we were looked to with favor. The homeboys liked us, right? And so we do our program, man. And it was kickback there. Northerners had the prison. We had the YA. We were the deepest, like 30, 40, 50 of us on every compa on 73-man dorms. We were the majority everywhere, right? Except for Carson. Carson had a gang of Southsiders. But other than that, we were the majority. And Tioga was about 50-50 split. So I'm there, right? And we hear, hey, there's a bus coming of Southsiders from down south. And so there's a whole bunch of homeboys like, hey, man, we're going to get off on these fools. Now, we had rules there. One of the rules was we couldn't jump no one. It wasn't going to be a 2-on-1, 3-on-1. It was going to be just a head up fade or fucking get off where you're mad at, or a melee, a full blown riot, right? So the homeboys there was a gang of homeboys there from Sanho from a gang called Eastside Hoods. And they wanted to put it down. They were like, hey, when these new dudes come, we're going to fucking in the square, we're going to massacre them. We're going to get off on them, right? So we're like, all right, cool. And my whole thing was, man, I was programming, like, I ain't tripping. I didn't put in enough work, right? I'm not tripping off these Southerners because I understood how it was for them coming up north now when I was down south. My mind frame was always different. I had nothing personal against the Southerners, man. It was more so like, we handle our business if we have to, but I'm not going to fucking hurt someone just because, right? And so the bus rolls up. You can see the bus rolling up. People are going to the school area. So they're like, tomorrow when these fools, they send them to school because they send you just like that. He's like, we're going to book them on whatever. All these dudes from Sanho were talking this, right? And they were about it. Eastside Hoods was about it, right? And there was a homeboy from FIFA from Horseshoe that was kind of like the shot caller for Sanho right there. Him and Muggsy. And anyways, I'm coming back from school area, and I guess they had brought 4 of the Southerners off that bus to our compa. And there's whispering going on, and me and Bad Boy are walking. It's lunchtime. They would give you these little box lunches. So we're going to go bust a spread. You take the bologna sandwich, beat it down, put in some cheese, put a little beans in it with the sopas, and you make a pitcher, and we'd all share the pitcher, make sandwiches out of it, manwiches. The homie, that's how we got down. And so as we walk in, I hear, Skinner, right? Because that's what they called me back then, Skinner, right? Skinner. And I look, and it's Little Ray from Puente, and looks like a deer in the headlights. He's like, oh, fuck. I'm like, damn, bro, what's up, right? I always had respect for him since that day. We became friends, but not friends. If you understand what I'm saying. And I was like, what's up, bro? And he was like, oh, no, bro, they brought me. And the other guy I'm going to talk about tomorrow, I'm going to actually do a video on him. Like Dubs did the video, the only Norteño he ever hated, but there was only one Southsider I ever hated. It's this other guy, so I'm not going to say his name, but they had rolled up there. He was like, damn, bro, they fucking snatched us up, man. What's going on? I said, don't trip. I promise you, my word, palabra. No one's going to touch you, bro. If you have to catch one-on-ones or whatever, there's going to be that, but I'm going to let the homeboys know. And I told that story to everyone on my compa, and Little Ray, no one ever did anything to him. Not one thing to him. He had no problems. He just programmed with his homies, and it was what it was. Right now, the square, what happened the next day, he wasn't involved. He got lucky. He was in a counselor meeting, but they did get off. All the homeboys from Sanho, they stuck 2 Southsiders. And I'll tell you that story at a later date. I've never told that story because I never tripped on it. But with that being said, that was it, man. They plotted to get me, Chino. Stay tuned tomorrow, man, as I got more bangers coming. And I think I'm going to drop another one today, another throwback. So I think you guys are going to like it. With that being said, thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive for what I truly believe in. That's the betterment of all people. If you want me to continue these throwback stories, let me know, man. Hit a 1. Interact with me, man, for the algorithm. Thank you. The gun. Bang, bang.